I'd just like to send out all my deepest apologies and all my many, many thanks. And it all goes to the same people, which is all of you out there and everybody in this group. I had never really had that happen before, and so, you know, it broke my heart, and then having a busted throat and a broken heart at the same time was really a nightmare of an experience. And if it weren't for the energy that I got from these guys, our crew, and also our audience, I don't know if it was everything as far as coming back and making a recovery. So again, for all the people that had to change their plans, and I know some of these familiar faces, you had to make some big changes. I'm so grateful. I was so sorry, and I'm, again, so thankful to everyone. I deeply appreciate it, and I look forward to paying you back all night. We do. And so, in the immortal words of Marvin Gaye, let's get it on. And away we go.
You're listening to Live on Four Legs, the live Pearl Jam podcast experience, featuring
Mr. Stone Gossard. Fucking Cameron in the drum. Mr. Boom Gasper. You can call me Al, you can call me Ed, you just fucking call me, why don't you?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live on Four Legs, the definitive live Pearl Jam podcast. And you're sitting here and about to listen to a recent show that has happened in 2018. Yes, we're going back only a year. London, the second night. I don't even know if you want to call it night two, since it's not a back-to-back situation, but we're going to discuss all that in a second. But yeah, if you are new to the show, we cover a different Pearl Jam show of their live history every single week, and we kind of break it down. We talk about the set list, we talk about some of the storylines and intriguing things that go on during the show, and I think for any Pearl Jam fan, you're going to enjoy it. So, Randy Sobel here, John Farrar over there. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. How are you on this fine day?
Doing good. Yeah, this should be a fun one. These 2018 shows where, you know, we've got a little bit of distance from them now, so we can kind of fit them in a little bit as far as where they fit into the whole canon. But yeah, this should be a good one. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one too. I think I have a lot to talk about with just, you know, this year and not getting an album or a tour this year, and I know that's a thing that's pretty much been on everybody's mind, and we haven't really addressed it on this show because we've been, you know, interested in the history. So this is a show especially that we can kind of mix that in with, because I really want to bring to the table that this is kind of a turning point show in the band, or a turning point time period.
And
I would say
we're starting to get a few rumblings about some things that might happen next year. A little too early to tell still, but
rumblings are all that they are. We cannot be the rumor mongers on this show, whether we know things or not.
We're optimistic that something is going to happen, whether it's here or there or anywhere. So
I would say optimistic is a very good.
Yeah. So now's a good time as any to look towards the future.
Absolutely. So before we get into that, let's talk about Patreon a little bit. You guys all know the deal. If you've been listening to the show, you head on over to Patreon. We have exclusive episodes over there, including our Evolution episodes and a couple of extra episodes. And who knows, maybe there'll be an extra episode for this one. You never know. If we have extra content that couldn't make the episode due to timing, we give you a special Live on More Legs episode, which we have plenty of over there. So, basically what it is on Patreon is you contribute to the show, anything from $1 onward, it's all up to your discretion. But for that, you get all those exclusive episodes that you can't get on Spotify or Apple or any of your regular podcast providers. And John, what else do you get if you are nice enough to donate?
Yeah, you get to pick a show for us to cover, or come on the show and talk about it. And if your opinions are dumb, I will make fun of you and threaten to fight you.
If you are in the mood for a fight, it is worth the $1 a month.
You keep teeing me up for this, and someday someone's gonna find out where I live and come beat the crap out of me. So it's all in good fun. I don't mean to make fun of anyone's opinions. They've been a band for a long time. I have my opinions are just as weird as anyone else's. So, but no, we have a good time talking about it and getting after each other a little bit sometimes.
Honestly, when you fight with people, it's nothing more than just kind of razzing them a little bit. It's not. You're not fist fighting. You're not screaming at people. I've never heard you scream before,
except for Tom, who said that Black was overrated and that McCready was an overrated guitarist. Coming for you.
Hey, we're gonna have to do a podcast to podcast battle right there. That's some serious shit going on.
That was fighting words. So I'm hoping today's guest has learned from their mistakes, and we'll have a very pleasant afternoon here.
We will get to our guest in just a second. Before we get to him, we want to remind you that through our social media accounts, we've been doing this the past week. We are trying to determine what the best show of the decade is. So this past week, we've released polls for 2010 and 2011, and you were able to vote on those years, and thank you for participating in that. And this next week, we're going to be doing 2012 and 2013 as well. So as the weeks keep going on and on and on, we're going to have all of the years, and we want to determine what the best show of this decade is. And
now we're going to reveal that on the episode, right? We're not going to let people know ahead of time. We're just going to whittle it down to the 25 or 30, and then we're going to hold off until the episode, right?
The episode is going to be a top 10. It's going to be your traditional top 10 episode. It's going to be on January 1st. First day of the new year, starting off fresh, and we're going to be reminiscing about the last 10 years. So, I think, what'll happen, like you said, we'll get it to 25 or 30, and then we will reveal on the episode. So that's...
Sounds good. Yeah, that's going to be great.
Do you have any
good way to kick off the new year?
Charlotte, 2013.
Charlotte's great. It's underrated, and, if people haven't listened to that episode, go back and check it out. I'm partial to Moline. I'm partial to Greenville. This one might sneak in there. You never know.
Yeah, keep an eye on it on social media. If you're not following us on social media, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we are on Twitter as well. And now, since we mentioned Patreon before, we are going to introduce you to a patron that has been there from the very start. He has been... I usually call him the super fan because he is just very excited whenever an episode comes out. He's usually the first person to react to it, and honestly, without his patronage and without his enthusiasm for the show, I don't know if we'd still be sitting here and excited to do this every week. So I introduce you all to superfan Aurelian. Sir, all the way from France, how are you?
I'm fine, and you? Thanks for having me back.
Of course, yeah. It's been almost a full year since we've had you. We had you on Milan 2014 last time.
Yeah, it's 9 months ago. So it's good to be back.
Good to have you back. So London, Night 2, 2018. You went to Night 1, right?
Yes, right. Now, I started the show with the two back-to-back Amsterdam show and then Pick Pop, and then I flew to London from Night 1.
Okay, so I remember the London shows that year. There was a lot of hype going around. Like the Metro system had that whole thing that had all the Pearl Jam puns in there. It was a one big paragraph where it was like, "Oh, Jeremy said I got ID," like all that kind of stuff. It was really clever. It was really well done. You had that. You had Baby Trump that was outside the arena. There was a lot of stuff going on, and the first night made it seem like this was a really big occasion. And then once you get into the arena, and Ed is not even close to 100%. So you're at that show, you're at night one. What's going through your head when you're hearing Ed? Because this was very apparent when I was watching this through Periscope and the Facebook live streams that this was not a very good show, very good performance for him. Something was wrong.
Yeah, so I think his issue started in Pink Pop because his voice was not at his best. And then in London, you're right, so he was maybe at half of his capacities. But I think I have very good memories of this show because the crowd participation was at his best. Because we tried to cheer and support Eddie as much as we could during night one of London.
Sure, yeah, and I think the crowd is really good and really receptive to that, and you don't want a better place than a huge city like a London or a New York, Philadelphia kind of place that is going to lift you up. If his voice busts out in, I don't know, Atlanta.
Watch it.
See, I'm on the show every week, and I'm the one starting fights right now, so it could be anybody. But I mean, like, if his voice busts out in like a Belgium or something like that, where it's not as frantic of a fan base, then you don't have that same crowd participation as you would in London. So that is cool that the crowd was able to really make the show what it was. But when you wake up the next morning and basically it was almost right away, what time did you find out that there would not be a night two, that you had to go home?
I was in front of the venue at 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And I was pretty... I had a nice spot in the queue because I was almost sure to get the rail, and I already had the rail the night before. And it's only in the afternoon that we found out that the show was cancelled because the will call was supposed to open at 1 p.m. I think, and at 1:30 the will call was not open, so we just thought that it was maybe some technical difficulties. But I think nobody has in mind the fact that the show could be cancelled. And I think around 2 p.m. Some fans see the announcement in the website, and they had some public announcement saying that the show was cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, it's something they probably wanted to wait until the last minute. I'm sure and it was probably Ed's call too. They were waiting on him to see if he was going to be able to do it. They never want to cancel a show because of that reason, because of health reasons or voice or anything. So I'm sure they, as inconvenient as it might have been for people, they really wanted to wait until the last minute to make a call on it.
Yeah, and Ed apparently saw 2 doctors that day, so he's really, he doesn't want to give up on this. There's a lot of hesitation from his side, I'm sure, how horrible he's feeling, but, if he has to go see 2 different doctors and they can't clear him saying, you have a busted throat, you can't be doing this, then there's no other reason. They've canceled shows for different reasons because of weather conditions or otherwise before, but this is really the first time that they've ever canceled due to health.
Do you guys think that they actually deserve some blame for this? Because they didn't really space out these European shows like they probably should have. I think
how would they know?
These were back to back. I mean, in
they've done back-to-back shows for years. How would they know something like
they
this? They
spaced them out a little more. I think. I'm asking the question: do they own a little bit of the blame for not scheduling more days off in between these shows?
Yeah, I think so, because they played 6 shows were played in 8 days. Right. So I think maybe it was a bit too much. And Pick Pop was a festival, and it was very cold. It was maybe only
Interesting.
15 degrees Celsius, so I don't know in Fahrenheit, but it was a pretty cold show, a late night show. So I think it's probably something. I'm not sure that they will play back-to-back date next time they come to Europe.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's something they definitely learned from, and they don't want to have happen again, I'm sure.
Really what I want to get into, this is sort of where I'm talking about with Turning Point here and where we sit, a year and a few months and change out from this show and this incident happening. Right now, Can't Deny Me was released in February or March of 2018. That's almost getting on. It's going to be over 2 years that song is going to be released before they release anything. And that's just, any album or any other song or even some tour notes, who knows. But it's a long time to be waiting. I think we all expected something to be happening at this point. So I propose this question to you. Do you think that this incident here and a couple other things along the way, I think that there were some unfortunate tragedies that have pushed them back a little bit creatively. But do you think this incident here has sort of pushed them back in a way that they want to kind of take their time on it and they don't want to push too hard and get another tour going and make it so that in 2023 none of this is even possible?
I think this is exactly what I thought after the show. But last year, this year, we get Eddie Vedder solo tour, which was with several dates and back-to-back dates. So I'm kind of unsure regarding why the band has not released something.
But it's easier. I think it's easier when he's on a solo tour to not expand his voice too much. He doesn't have the power of the band and he can sort of relax. That Ohana show, he wasn't going too high with his voice. It was a relaxing environment. So I don't think that's too big of a strain on it. But once you get the full band and the power of, a 6-piece group in there, I think he feels the energy of the big crowds and not the intimate crowds that his solo shows had, where taking video was barred from each theater. So I think that going back to that situation might have held him back a little bit and maybe held back the recording process. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see when it all comes out. I'm sure they'll have an explanation, and then when they start doing interviews and press for whenever new thing comes out, I'm sure that'll be one of the questions. So we'll just have to wait and see what they say, what was going on during this time.
Yeah, and we got a lot of stuff going on right now with like these little hints. Matt Cameron recently posted an Instagram story and said that he's back at London Bridge Studios. So everyone's like, ooh, what could this be? Obviously, there was a leak a couple weeks ago with somebody posting a picture of Jeff saying, I was just in the studio with him recording Pearl Jam, and then he changed it real quick. He edited it and said Jeff was in the studio. So to make it seem like it wasn't what it was. I don't know if those are just kind of facades or what, but,
Yeah, I mean, it's and they've gotten a little more secretive about stuff since the advent of internet and file sharing. They know they want to prevent those kind of leaks that have happened to Radiohead and some of the other bands. So they're probably trying to lock down all that stuff until the time is right, until they're ready.
The best thing that we can say about this is time will tell how this incident, and right now is a really good point that we can say we haven't gotten any of this stuff, that maybe this incident is holding it back, but really time is going to tell how going forward, sort of the geriatric years, for lack of better terms, how this band is going to react to it and how they're going to tour. And, we all saw with the Rolling Stones this past year, they went back out on tour after some health issues with Mick Jagger. So who knows? So Aurelian, we get to this point now. They reschedule the date, and the date is almost exactly a month after the show was supposed to take place. So what's the process going through all this? You said you had a good fan club experience, that the 10 Club treated you well, and you were able to get your place back, or you were able to get your tickets and just go through that process.
Yeah, so the date when the show was cancelled, there were some public announcements saying that the show will be postponed, and at the time I thought but it will not be a possibility because the last show was supposed to be Portugal, and if you have to move all your stuff from Portugal and your crew from Portugal to the UK just for one date, so I was kind of not sure that this rescheduled show will happen. But a few days after the cancellation, so we received a mail from 10 Club saying, okay, so the show will be rescheduled to the 17th of July, and you can decide yourself up to 48 hours before the show. So we had plenty of times to sort out flight, hotel, and so on, and to decide if we wanted to go back to London to see the band or not.
And you decided that ultimately it was worth the squeeze.
Yeah, because we all kind of knew that it would probably be a kind of a special show.
Okay, you were in the GA for this one? You were online?
Yes.
Did you get rail?
GA?
Or?
Yes, so on the Stone side.
Okay. Hey, everybody always guns for Mike's side. There's nothing wrong with Stone's side.
Yeah, so I once 2 times on the Mike side, but to be in front of Mike, you have to be on the first one in line.
Yeah.
And some people were sleeping in front of the venue. But for the second show, I take the first flight in the morning, so I was not able to queue before 7 a.m. So I ended up being in front of Stone, and it was a very nice spot because it was less rowdy compared to the other side of the stage.
We'll get into all that in a second, and
Yeah.
something actually really fun does happen with Stone in this that I guess you had a front row view of, which is going to be cool. We'll get to all that, but we got to start where we start here, and they're opening up with Oceans.
Hold on to the thread, the currents will share, glide me towards you. No, something's left, and we're all allowed to dream of the next. Of the next time we
Ocean is really important this year, last year I should say, because they played it in Barcelona, and there was a big fan outreach to get Oceans to be played for a fan named Israel who had passed away. And I remember seeing all over the place Oceans for Israel, and then watching the live feed of the Barcelona show, and they actually mentioned him by name, and they played the song, and it was a really emotional moment for a lot of people, just being on the pages and the boards. So I think they're taking a little bit of that energy and kind of understanding that was a really feel-good moment for them, and that's how they start this one.
They kind of reserve Oceans for special nights like this. Like, this was the end of the tour. They know when you get Oceans first, you know it's going to be a special night.
Yes, I agree, and it was the first time that I see Oceans, and I really like it because it brought me back to my teenage years watching the MTV Unplugged.
This is Drop Tune. This was Drop Tune every performance in 2018. It's one of the few that I actually don't mind being Drop Tune. I think it has a nice, rich sound to it. I don't know how you feel about it, John. We've talked about the drop tuning before with so many songs.
It doesn't bother me. I mean, it's something where would you rather them drop tune it or just not play it at all?
Sure.
They're making it work the best they can.
And there's another one that's actually in the set list that I will go out on a limb and say that if you're going to drop it, just drop it completely. So we'll get to that though. You go from Oceans and Nothing As It Seems. for me, I don't like Nothing As It Seems early in the set, because I think it's when you get the slow burn, you kind of want the slow ones, if they're not emotional, like a Long Road or a Release, you kind of want them to be shortened, be tight a little bit, or be sing-alongs like a Low Light or Sometimes or something like that. But Nothing As It Seems live seems to linger for me. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I like it middle of the set where it's okay to linger a little bit more.
It's one of my favorite songs, and I really like the fact that it has been the Oceans Nothing As It Seems combo, because it was unexpected to have these two ones to start the show. And I don't know why, but I didn't feel that this show would be good with long openers. So I think Long Road, sometimes I think the sound is a little bit too long, and so I'm more into the more short songs. So I like how it's placed and how it sounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to side with my my colleague on the other side of the coast. Nothing As It Seems is great here. I mean, it's a chance for McCready to have a moment and let him go off, and I think it's really unique. You don't often get it this early. So I think for the people that were there to get Oceans into Nothing As It Seems is like, whoa, this is going to be one of those cool nights. There, from the start, like, they were trying really hard to make up for the night that was canceled. Obviously, they wanted to make it special. And to start off with these two songs that you don't normally get to open a show, I think is great.
Hey, I'm not saying that it wasn't special. I'm just saying that it has a tendency to linger a little bit. And, but, however, if you're going to do it early in the set like this and you're going to do the slow burn, it's better that you do the 2 slow burn than the 3. But if you're going from Nothing As It Seems into the next section, I think it's okay. Which the next section all the way through here is Go Corduroy Save You, Do the Evolution. And this section, I think, it's all fast crowd favorites, obviously. And I think this is a big, we're sorry for, we're making it up to you guys. We missed the last date. We got to come out swinging. We know we have to come out of this with the crowd moving and bring the energy, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, fully agree. I think I really like the fact that there has been it was a direct transition from one song to another. So it was very fast paced and without interruption, without Eddie's. Okay, he spoke later in the show, so it was a nice 1, 2, 3, 4 punch.
Yeah, and you get the cool moment in Corduroy where they extend that chorus part and the crowd keeps singing along, because people aren't used to that quite yet. Not everyone there, but that was a cool moment, I thought, where everyone was singing along to that second verse of Corduroy.
Yeah, and we talked about that on the show before. Sometimes that section becomes sort of a pandering moment where Ed is kind of going back and forth doing a lot of call and response, and not a lot of people like that, but he didn't do that. They were able to let the music kind of take hold on the moment. That's why I enjoyed this version of this kind of Corduroy more than usual versions. They're not doing that call and response, which I actually like.
And you get a binaural song and a Riot Act song in the first 5, which is unusual as well.
Well, speaking of Riot Act, we will get into Riot Act a little bit. There's quite a bit of Riot Act, and it's all going to come at once. So keep your eye on that. After this section, Ed kind of mentions that there's a barricade right there, and we kind of want, have a good time, but have a good time in your own space. And, Ed, he's very conscious of this stuff all the time. Obviously we all know the history with it. So there are a couple of moments in the show where they kind of are going back and telling the fans, it's time to calm down a little bit. So aside from asking everybody to be safe, he apologizes for what happened and having to cancel, because he knows a lot of people weren't going to be able to make it. And he thanks everybody in the crowd and really in the band and the crew for what happened. And he says it broke his heart. So he's very genuine with things like that. And obviously, the crowd you want to rev them up. You want to get them to feel like this is going to be a special night, and that's one of the things you say to get them there. So he thanks everybody for rolling with the punches, and to quote Marvin Gaye, let's get it on. That gets you in a section of 2 Yield, 2 Riot Act, Given a Fly, In Hiding, I Am Mine, Green Disease. Anything on just like the individual song performances here? I thought specifically I Am Mine was really good on this show. I feel like the ending really had some energy to it. It really had some emphasis to it. I like this version of I Am Mine.
Yeah, when it hits, when they really hit those beats and really emphasize the 3, like it really hits home.
Of the songs were really great, and In Hiding, it was one of the first time for me, so it was great to witness the crowd participation for this song. And I have really enjoyed Given to Fly because I had the impression that it was played a little bit slower than the usual, let's say 2000 show, so I really like the Given to Fly also.
Yeah, this is a pretty good section here, but I really want to talk about just sort of Riot Act, because already this is what, 7, 8, 9, 10, this is 10 songs in, we have 3 Riot Act songs.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, it really is. So I crunched a lot of numbers, and I wanted to see what the usage of Riot Act songs in 2018 was compared to 2016. 2018 had 26 total shows, 2016, 24. And I really thought that a lot of these shows, when looking at the set list from the European show, they were doing You Are a lot. They were doing All or None a couple shows. There was a lot more Riot Act than I probably ever heard personally before. So crunching the numbers, consider the fact that there were only 2 festival dates in 2016. There are 7 in 2018. The numbers are a little funky here. I don't know how the numbers really tell the story, but it's just interesting. So there were only 8 shows from 2016 where they didn't play one song from Riot Act. With that, there were 24 Riot Act songs that were played in 2016 total. That's total plays. Last year, there were 14 shows where you didn't get a Riot Act song, 26 shows in total, 23 Riot Act songs were played. So it's, wow. Yeah, it's raised the bar a little bit.
And you have to keep in mind that for the Riot Act tour, they did not tour Europe. So for a lot of Europeans, getting a Riot Act songs is a definitive treat, because in 2003 they did not tour Europe.
Yeah, you're right. That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see too if this trend kind of continues into next year. If we get some shows announced, it'll be interesting to see what kind of proliferation Riot Act shows. If that continues, if we keep getting more of it.
We are at the even flow section of this set, and I feel like this is a little bit of a different even flow here. I feel like the normal things that Mike is doing that you usually hear in the solo, I think he's experimenting a little bit, and I think it's a different kind of sound, and I think that the crowd is really into it in this one. I can see, this being another song where there's a problem with the barricade, where there are people that are taking it a little too far.
Yeah, so Even Flow is definitely not a peace break song in Europe.
No, it shouldn't be a pee break song anywhere, but
Yeah, McCready just goes off on the end. Like I said, it's a lot different. Maybe I don't know if it's in a different key or he's just messing around with it, but yeah, it sounded really different from all the even flows we've been listening to lately.
yeah, it was unique for sure, and I think that all attributes to giving this crowd something special for sticking with it and headed back to the show. So, in between songs, Ed is mentions a stupid little thing here about Mike, and he was offered a job in Los Angeles where older women were paying a lot of money to stand in front of amplifiers, and while their face gets pushed back and pushbacks all the wrinkles in their face. And he would get a lot of compliments, but their ears were busted and they couldn't hear afterwards, so it wasn't really much of a job. But Ed's just making funny small talk there. But then he also talks about Baby Trump, which we mentioned before. That gets us into Daughter, It's Okay. I feel like this tour, this whole year, was the return of the It's Okay tag to like prominent form. Because they did it 8 times this year in 2018. I keep wanting to say it's this year, but it's not this year. We're past that. We're long past it. It feels like just yesterday, but we're long past it. So they did it in 8 different shows, and to get it in 8 times before that, you'd have to get in combined years for shows. You'd have to go back to 2013 to get the last 8 appearances of it. So cool to that it's coming back, and I know that I think in Barcelona or something like that they did Está Bien. I love this tag, and I was glad to see it in Fedway, and I'm glad it's kind of trended upwards now.
Okay, so the Tom Queen in me has to come out. I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of the It's Okay tag because I don't really like
Aurelian. I've held back, but you're pushing it right now.
What I don't really like is the transition from Daughter to It's Okay, because there's kind of a key change. So any change from minor to major, and for me it has always sounded strange. So I'm not a big fan of It's Okay. I know it's a fan favorite. Last time as well I was on the show, we have discussed the Let It Go tag. So It's Okay, it's better than Let It Go, but I honestly I think that when you get the WMA tag or the Another Brick on the Wall tag, for me these ones are definitely better than the It's Okay tag.
And I don't mind the key change too. I think it sounds cool because you kind of know the song is changing. Yeah. It kind of brings it to another level. I think I really like it.
When you get that chord, that boom, 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 that's really impactful, and I think a lot of people know that right away. It's kind of a signal for them to react to it and start doing the It's Okay chants. So I think you're outnumbered on this one, Aurelian.
Yes, no, it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm annoyed by this key change every time. So,
okay, it's all right. We deal with unpopular opinions on this show all the time, A little section here. We're going to kind of, I guess, touch up on each individually in ways, but comes after Daughter, It's Okay, and this is the one from Riot Act that has that staying power, and it sounds really good here. So I'm wondering, this was the 4th out of 4 times that they played it on this tour, so I'm wondering if the first few times that they played it, they're like, you know what, we're really feeling this one, this sounds really good, let's continue with it. And I was really impressed that it's not an easy song, and it's not an easy song on Ed's voice either.
Yeah, I fully agree. So I think they played it in Amsterdam or Pink Pop, I don't remember, but I think that I've seen this song several times during this tour, and every time it was a great rendition of the song. So I very like the vibe of this song because it's very different from, let's say, the usual Pearl Jam song. So it has a very different vibe with this kind of loop guitars and the specific drums. So I think it's a very, very good song.
That gets us into Satan's Bed after You Are. This is where I'm going to say, if you're going to drop it into drop tuning, just drop it. This sounded terrible. I can't put it into any other words, but this just did not sound anything close to Satan's Bed. I think, John, we talked about it before.
Disagree.
You like what? But you mention on the show all the time that Satan's Bed is one of those that they never get right live, and
but that's why it's great.
It doesn't sound
one of
good
those.
here.
It's one of those.
It's not State College, but it doesn't sound good here.
I thought if I'd been there, I would have loved it. Anytime you get it, it's awesome. Like, just to get us on, I'd much rather them keep playing it than drop it.
Yeah, I agree with John on this one. I think it was, for me, it was sloppy good. You know, it was Matt used several times this kind of word. It's sloppy good. So for me, it was a treat to have this song because I was amazed by how little it has been played. So only 38 times
38
over the career. It's insane. So at least it was definitely one song that we probably would not have if it was not for this specific rescheduled show.
100%. Yeah, I think that, we're burying the lead with that a little bit. Obviously, it's easy for us to kind of come out and say, oh, well, Nothing Has a Seam sounded like this, and Satan's Bed sounded like this. But the lead here is that they brought songs that they usually don't bring to the table into parts of the set that, are reserved for more common things. You can get something like a Mind Your Manners or a Got Some or a Lightning Bolt here, and nobody would bat an eye, but you do a Satan's Bed, and that completely changed the landscape of the set list. This is, to me, the set list overall is perfect on paper. I don't think that they could have written it up better. That's to me.
Yeah, you still get to Do the Evolution, you still get a Corduroy, you still get a Given to Fly, Go. So it's still got those, you get a Daughter and an Even Flow. So you've still got those crowd moments, but they're splicing it in really nicely. And I say it every time, Ed is a master of reading the crowd and knowing what songs to put where and how the set list flows up and down. So yeah, I thought this main set is fantastic.
Yeah, fully agree.
That gets us into, I'm really interested to talk about this because we really haven't had any chance to discuss because we're not covering 2018 shows whenever they're not going to play this in any other year. So can't deny me, you guys. I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I can deal without the cash register sound effects and all that, nonsense and the cowbell and all that stuff. But it's fine. It is whatever. But I will say this. If this is going on the next album at this point, do not make this the number 2 or number 3 track, or else it ruins. I think it comes close to ruining the album. Hot take there, but that's just how I feel about it. Make it like a side, like open up side B with it or something like that.
We'll have to see how it works out. I mean, it seems like one of those songs, like if it were on a Lightning Bolt or a Backspacer, it would have been in the first few songs because it's got that kind of aggressive quality to it. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yes. What I'm unsure is Can't Deny Me was maybe part of a forthcoming album that that will never be released because they record a few songs in this vein and they were maybe disappointed by the result or maybe disappointed by the reaction of the fans.
That could happen. Look, it could be totally possible that it doesn't make the 2020 album or, whenever the album is going to be, because it's kind of it's been on baseball commercials and it's been used and it's sort of it's when you're promoting a new album, you want to promote fresh things. It's not fresh anymore. And it's going to be 2 years since the song was released. So, if they leave it off and maybe they put it on as a B-side to whatever their top, their Mind Your Manners-esque song for the album is going to be, then that's fine. And I think people will accept that. But to put it as like the number 2 or number 3 track on the album after waiting all this time, I think is just a little bit.
If you're gonna start nitpicking the track listing for the album that isn't announced yet,
I know,
you're
but
gonna
I've said this before.
You're gonna have other problems.
This is a fun moment here. Ed says that we all know what you want, and you hear Jeff in the background say, "Sweet Lou," or maybe that's Stone. I don't know who says it. Did you pick up on that, Aurelian? Or
I think it's Eddie who jokes about Sweet Lou.
Oh, Eddie actually said that.
It was a recurring theme in the show, I guess.
Yes.
Fuck Sweet Lou. I mean, that's the new song that is never going to get played again. I mean, I think that might be the new Breath campaign that we need to pull out. Is everybody need to start
Dirty
requesting
Frank?
Sweet Lou? Yeah, exactly.
I've gotten it before, so I'm good. You guys do what you want, but I'll be over there talking about seeing full WMA. You guys can talk about Sweet Lou all you want. It's cool. It's cool by me. No, but they mentioned Sweet Lou, but Ed says there's been a big chant, everybody saying let Stone sing, and then Stone gets on the mic.
I really actually want to take this chance just to thank Ed for carrying us all these years, leading this organization, and inspiring us all. So Evie, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. As a band, collectively. But it's about fucking time you let me sing, goddammit.
Moment. You're right in front of Stone when this is all happening. So
yes, exactly.
What's it like to see Stone sing?
Yes, it was great. It was very different, and I really like how Stone praised Eddie before playing it. So he thanked him for leading the organization, which kind of amazed me for him to thank Eddie. That's in this straightforward way.
Yeah, it's not often that someone else in the band gets to take the microphone and make a speech. You never see Jeff or Mike are mad, but whenever it's totally nice of Stone. Whenever he gets a chance, he always makes an opportunity to point out what Ed's doing, and it gives him a moment for everyone to say thanks.
Yeah. Stone doesn't talk often, but when he does, it's poignant. It matters.
He's the best.
This version of Mankind was really good. I got no complaints. I loved it. I think it was fantastic, and yeah, they don't land the ending on it, and Stone kind of jokes about it. Yeah, exactly. It gives it character almost. But afterwards, you get a little "Let Jeff Sing" chant. So
and that's going to be the new thing too. We got to start that going for next year.
Yep. Well, if you start Let Jeff Sing, then that only leads into Sweet Lou, right?
Exactly.
There's no other, unless you want them to do something from Heaven and Hell, which you ask most people, they probably don't. But yeah, it's pretty cool. He says he puts the kibosh to it, and he says Jeff has a sore throat, which Ed says is a dig at him. So, and he says if you start hearing the rest of the band sing, he said everybody's talented. Mike can sing, Matt can sing, they all can sing. If you start hearing everybody sing, Ed is out of a job. So that is far from the truth, but yeah, that's everybody is super talented. We all know that. Ending section here, whipping, Lucan, rearview mirror. Whipping has a little bit of trouble getting started. It's just a little bit slight hesitation, and that was
probably left over from Mankind. They were probably still trying to find
something
it.
Like that.
Yeah,
something like that. Lucan is what it is, obviously, but the story here is really rearview mirror. It's not the best version of rearview mirror, so it's really less about the song and more about the moment that happens in the song. Ed is asking Keeley, put on the lights. So this is during the bridge, and you get kind of a glimpse of the continuous clapping that's going on, but Ed is like, all right, we got a lot of show left, we got to take it down. I want everybody to take 3 steps back because it's getting just a little bit too rowdy. So this is, I mean, compared to what we did last week, Indio, this is a major difference. He's concerned with the crowd. Indio, he couldn't give a fuck about the crowd because they were throwing shoes at his face. But what's it like in the pit during this moment and everybody stepping back? Is everybody really, are they complying with this, or what's happening here?
Yeah, no, so people were complying. But once again, in the Stone Zone, it was pretty safe. There was not a lot of moshing, but
the Stone Zone.
But in front of Eddie and Mike, it was quite rowdy, and so some people were already pushing from the back. So, but I think generally in Europe, people are quite they listen to what the artists want them to do. So people will comply with Eddie's request, but unfortunately, it kind of ruined the let's say the mid part of the song.
Yeah, and it was just, we've gotten some really excellent versions, like top 5 versions that we've covered on this show of Rearview Mirror. Maybe not top 5 of all time, but who knows, maybe. But we've covered some freaking stellar versions of Rearview Mirror lately. This is the one week where it was a rare miss.
Yes,
I don't think it ruined the song. It just kind of killed the momentum temporarily. But kudos to the band for they didn't fully stop it. They just kind of went on a little softly, and then brought it back up once things were satisfactory.
Yeah, so I think with the past of the band, they are obviously very concerned with safety issues. So, and I think nowadays, at least in Europe, in festival, you have a lot of sections. So you have some very sections which are segregated from the whole crowd. But here it was there was no barrier in the middle, so it was only it was not as safe as a festival, I would say.
All right, we get into the encore here, and there's a lot of stuff happening early in this encore. A lot of good moments, feel good moments, and songs that you're not going to hear every day at shows. So the first one, Ed says they got a few requests to handle, and first is a song by a friend who's no longer with us, and he's still really reacting to Tom Petty's death at the time. It's, I think even to this day, it's hitting a lot of people very hard, but obviously the two of them were very close. I Won't Back Down gets played a ton on this tour, more than in past years. But Ed said that Jeff mentioned to him a story about a woman who had some health issues, and they were lucky enough to get her story. And they play it for her. And thankfully, through the Pearl Jam Scotland group, I was able to kind of talk with her. Her name is Andrea Oakes. And I was able to get her story, and she was nice enough to share. Here's Andrea's story. After years of migraines and then fatigue, in May of 2018, a CT scan showed that she had a 4.3 centimeter brain tumor. All she could think about was if she'd be able to go to see the band the next month. The doctor told her it was very unlikely she would be able to do so, so she went on the Pearl Jam official 10 Club page and mentioned her situation and received an enormous amount of support and encouragement for her to go to this show. She was able to make it to London after traveling from Glasgow, but then got a message in the afternoon saying Ed was sick and lost his voice. She was gutted, but wanted him to be better and knew he must have had no other choice. But she questioned whether or not she'd be able to make the trip for the next rescheduled gig. A few people started a hashtag trend saying inside job for Andrea, and thankfully she was able to make it to London for the new date and went live on Facebook a few times so fans and friends could see that she made it there. She was filming the encore when Ed started talking about an ill woman and nearly shot through the ceiling with shock when he said, "This woman, Andrea Oakes," before singing Tom Petty's "I Won't Back Down." The rest was a blur, and little did he know how much it would mean to her throughout the rest of the brain tumor journey. At times it was a struggle to keep going, and when there was nothing left, she'd think of the dedication and tell herself to keep going and not back down. It's been 8 months post-op after having craniotomy to remove the brain tumor, which thankfully came back as benign. She would like to rededicate this song to any fellow jammers who need it and has learned that when things get bad, you can be surprised by the love of strangers. Thank you, Andrea. This one's for you.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stare me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. I will stand my ground. I won't be turned around, and I will keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I'll stand my ground, and I won't back down.
So, cool moment, you guys. That was cool. Very, very nice of her to be open and tell her story to us, and then kind of get to know the story behind the story. So, yeah, what was it like in the crowd? It seemed like a pretty emotional moment.
Yeah, to be honest, I was not aware of this because I was not really involved in the forum at the time. So I thought that I had the impression that Andrea Oakes was someone that Eddie knew personally and not a fan.
And now you're kind of somewhat involved with the Pearl Jam Scotland stuff. You know of it, and she's pretty involved with it. I know I see her name all the time. So it's great that good people get good things that happen to them when bad things happen. So
exactly, and I really like how Pearl Jam cares for their fans, because regardless of what you can read of the forum of people only complaining about holiday vinyls and so on, but I think at the end of the day, the band really care for their fans.
Yeah, they absolutely do. When it matters the most, they know. We've had stories of those who had dedications before, and that's something that they don't have to do, but they feel obligated to. That just to know that they feel like they owe it to certain people to do it is it's a really good feeling. Here is a Live on Four Legs debut that I've been looking to cover since we started the damn show. We've never done it before. Fatal.
How good is he? How warm are his eyes? You'll see it's not a reprise. Did he arrive too late and too tethered away to what on his suit and his tie? How good is he? How warm is his heart or ego? Telling him which plays the part. Did he relate the message cancel outright.
This song. Only the 7th time out of 8 total that they had played it in their history, and it's usually back here for big shows, and you would think that the last time that they had played it was Leeds 2014, I believe, so most of this crowd had gotten it before, so screw them a little bit, right?
Oh, I think not everyone was in Leeds in 2014, so it was.
Well, I mean, a majority of them.
That's your personal jealousy coming through, I think.
A little bit. I am chasing this one, so.
No, because because as they played it in Leeds in 2014, for me it was the unexpected song.
Were you at Leeds that year?
No, I was not at Leeds. So.
Oh, okay.
As they play it, because I always had this kind of impression, maybe I'm wrong, that they try not to play the same songs when they, in the same countries and so on. So
right.
There was a campaign in the forum for this song, but for me I was not very confident on the fact that they will brought out Fatal, but it's a great song. It's a shame that they don't play it more often.
100% agree. Yeah, it's one of those that it's got such a cool, like, I don't want to overuse the word vibe, but it's got such a cool feeling around it, and the lyrics are great. And, it's one of those Stone-written songs that's just classic Stone. And, I love it. I wish they would play it more often. 100% agree.
Yeah, it's pretty much made for this, Encore 1 cool down spot. It fits perfectly here. Wish they would play it more often, but you know what? It's kind of nice that they don't, because when it does come, it does make it that much more special. And if anybody was at that lead show and was at this one too, then, to get it twice is even more special. So that's just double the fun. And this one, after that, another request for people, and he says it's for 3 people that are collectively up to shows in the around the 200s, and said outside of Sweet Lou we'd play anything for them.
Again with the Sweet Lou.
They've only played it twice, so I mean, I don't know. It's a basketball song. I don't know what you.
I was really hoping. I was really hoping Jeff was going to break into that bass line. I was really hoping for that.
Instead of doing that, they did Around the Bend, which is a fantastic choice. Getting something like this, again, 14 total plays. I know people that have been to almost 100 shows that have not seen this song. So this is another special moment, I'm sure.
It's the kind of song that you probably chase when you go see a Eddie Vedder solo show, because he played it from time to time, but it was once again an unexpected song. So, and with Fatal and Around the Bend back-to-back song, it was one of the highlights of the set list and of the show.
Yeah, normally this would be the Just Breathe spot, but you get nothing off of Backspacer at this show.
No Backspacer.
I didn't even realize that. Wow. This next section is probably musically one of the tightest sections of the night. Jeremy, Mind Your Manners and Breath.
Yeah, so Jeremy is one of my favorite songs, so they can throw in every show. I'm already there for Jeremy, and I generally
so much better live too.
Yeah, I generally don't really like Mind Your Manners, but I really like how it was placed here in the encore, because it kind of it wasn't. I like the flow from Jeremy to Mind Your Manners and finally back to Breath. On paper, it did not look good for me, but hearing it, I think it worked pretty well.
Yeah, I think this section was really top notch, just performance wise. This is exactly what you want out of an encore when you're kind of you got some rare stuff and you want to hit hard with a couple of hits and a couple of fan favorites. This was a really good section. So afterwards, they get into another song that is now public domain after all these years. Happy Birthday to Sam, the band Chef, and it's also Stone's birthday a few days after this as well. So they get the Happy Birthday song, and they both get cake-faced. And apparently Stone is blinded by the cake.
Exactly. So it was a very fun moment. Once again, the mood between the band members was very nice during all the show. So it was nice to see them having fun.
It is cool when it is a band member's birthday, and I guess Mankind was a little bit of a present to Stone too. So it's kind of cool how that all worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy Mary comes here, and Ed definitely was losing a little bit at this point. Those high parts, the high above the trees over the hills, he wasn't exactly hitting them at this point. Doesn't mean the energy was down at all, but you could definitely hear some strain happening at this point in the song.
Yeah, agree. I would say for Crazy Mary, I was more stoked by the let's say the Stairway to Heaven and Paid in Black tags.
Sure.
Because I was wondering if it was decided beforehand, or if it's just improvised.
That stuff is all improvised.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for Paid in Black, I would say the boom and the mic has to be synchronized.
This is the first time I've heard, Stairway and Paint It Black in the same section, so that was pretty cool. But it's just one of those like Mike versus Boom battles here, and you play a classic rock song, I play a classic rock song. It's a pretty fun, genuine moment.
Yes, and you're in the UK, so Led Zeppelin and
sure.
Rolling Stones.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Porch ends the set here. It is riffy Porch. If you want to say
a little bit of a stop-start though, he kind of
yeah,
stopped and I thought it was all right.
Yeah, the energy sounds fine.
Yeah, it was.
The energy of the crowd sounds fine, but this out of all the Porches, I feel like Porch definitely took a step down in 2018. I don't know what it was, but some of the versions from this year, maybe it's because they played it every single show instead of, in the same spots instead of bringing it back every other. But I feel like Porch took a little bit of a step down.
Oh, I think
I could be in the minority there, but
no, I kind of agree, except from the Berlin show because it was an insane Porch. But
with the cup holders,
exactly, it was an amazing moment. I think it was probably one of my highlights of the tour. I've done 7 dates, and it was definitely my top 3 moments of the show because it was as if everyone in the crowd was has the same idea at the same time. It was amazing to be able to see all these cupboard flying all over your head and so on.
Yeah, that was definitely a cool moment. That ends this encore here. We get into encore 2. We get the band turning around, facing the back and playing Elderly Woman. And John, obviously, you know, when they play to the back, what are you usually going to get?
Well, you're going to get, it's either going to be Elderly
Oh,
Woman
come on.
or
Come on.
Smile.
You're supposed to do
or
it.
it's going to be...
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah. My voice is a little under the weather,
Yes.
and appropriately enough, so...
But
that's
they
what
played
you're gonna get,
they
but-
played like Last Kiss at the London One show for the back.
Oh, okay. So
that's why
yeah,
we
you
get
can't-
Elderly Woman here and not Last Kiss.
good choices overall. Not a fan of Last Kiss, but you
Not
know.
fan of Last Kiss either.
Yeah, see, hey, that's. I feel like it's kind of been 2 versus 1 a lot with me. But I'm glad I got one. I got one on my side for this one.
Keep going. I'll just do this the whole time.
Ed gets emotional about the band after Elderly Woman. Says everybody with the band and crew are brothers and sisters. They're all a family. And will you stop it? Thank you. Let me talk.
Question of the day. Should I continue to play Last Kiss under the rest of this episode?
No.
Question of the day, question of the week should be, what do you want the band to do with Can't Deny Me as the next album approaches? That should be question of the week. So
Live on Four Legs Podcast at gmail.com.
thank you for dropping that. Yeah, that's the email. You can send us lots of emails on anything you want, like or hate the episode. Send us an email.
Yeah,
Ryan does it all the time.
I'll talk Pearl Jam with anyone.
Yep. All right. Wasted Reprise into Alive. That's not a combination that you usually get. It's a little weird to me. I kind of we saw it. I don't know, a handful of shows. It was used before Porch, and I thought that was strange. Alive is a little better than before Porch, but I think it needs to be stuck to using it before Better Man or Life Wasted. Really, it should be just stuck to using it before Life Wasted. But you know, is what it is. You don't get it before Alive, so again, it's another thing. It's another little treat of the set, if you want to say. But you know, the whole encore here, it's not the best performance you get after Alive. You get Baba, and Baba was really rough. Not the best version. Mike didn't really land the solo. And Ledbetter sounds fine into the end. So, like, really overall, Encore 2, I know it's really about energy, and obviously everybody knows that this is the end of the show, but what's up in the pit, and where the action is happening, not, you know, us listening to the bootleg and making comments and crap.
So Alive was kind of special because Eddie was go down next to the rail and was starting to hugging fans and gave a handshake to fans.
Oh, cool.
And I was at the rail, so I get the handshake from Eddie. So the little fanboy in me was pleased. No, I
That's
think
awesome.
it's one of these things. When I at other show, when I see people trying to reach Eddie or to touch him, this is really something that I would never do or would never think of. But he came in front of me and he literally grabbed my hands and looked me in the eyes, and I don't know, it was very something very, very special, because you kind of feel that it's a real human. So it was a kind of emotional moment for me.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I thought Wasted Reprise was fantastic going into Alive. I thought I gave the song an extra little bit of weight, and thought it really carried it nicely. That was great for me. I hope it sticks around. I wanted to mention too, like, Aurelian, did it look like Watchtower was kind of added at the last minute? Did it seem like Ledbetter was going to be the end, and then they kind of talked about it and was like, hey, let's do one more? How did that come about?
Yeah, it was kind of strange, because when Yellow Ledbetter started, I would say part of the crowd was already going to the exit. So
Right.
I think after Yellow Let Better, I thought it was done, but I did not want to. The show was so great that I did not want to leave the room. And also during one of the mosh pit, I received a cap from the Chicago Cubs with a lot of Pearl Jam pins on it. So I just wanted. So I just saying, okay, I will just wait there just to give back the cap to its owner. And then they came back from nowhere on the stage, and it was kind of really unexpected from them to play something after Yellow Let Better, and the room was not packed anymore. So part of the fans miss the songs, because there is I don't know, maybe a 2-3 minutes gap between Yellow Let Better and
there was a little bit of silence in between.
Yes.
It seemed like there was just like a lot of goodbyes, and it feels like, most people would react to that as, the house lights are up, okay, see you later, they're done. And exactly. I would have.
Well, you normally wait for them to come out and do the bow, like the arm in arm.
Yeah.
They do the whole thing. That's usually the end.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was decided beforehand to play this song at the end or not, but because I've just checked the live Footstep website, and it only
it has it as a third encore, right?
Yes, it only occurs a few times that when Yellow Let Better is not the last song.
Yeah, and it's almost a lot of times it'll be like Eddie's call. He'll be like, they'll be thinking they're done, and he'll be like, no, one more, and I thought this was really great. I got to hear the song in Charlotte, and thought it was great. Then it's a great way.
Did it close the night in Charlotte? I can't remember.
Yeah, it did.
It did. Okay. This is I got to see it in Hartford back in 2010, and I'm not a huge fan of All Along the Watchtower as a song. I think it's a little overdone, but I really enjoyed this version because the energy and just I think you could feel everybody in the crowd say, wow, we got one more after Ledbetter. That's something special, especially this whole night had so many moments that you don't get in other shows. This was just another one where, again, it makes it that much more sweeter.
It's the end of the tour. They probably wanted to give the fans that stuck around, one last gift before they left.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah. And you never know when will be the next time that you will see Pearl Jam. So, when it's when it's your last show of a tour, you're always kind of, at least for me, I'm always wondering when will they be back? So
it's emotional, that's for sure.
Yes.
Like,
because I remember I saw them in 2012 and then 2014, and then we had a 4-year gap to 2018. So there was a lot of anticipation from the European fans for this tour.
I'm going to start a petition to move Atlanta to Europe.
Yes.
So we can get more Pearl Jam.
Just make sure it doesn't go to Scotland. All right. That's all the set list that we got. So, Aurelian, tell us your top 3 moments from this show.
So, number 3, it's the Ocean Nothing As It Seems as the openers. So we don't agree on this one, but I was very impressed by these 2 songs back to back as an opening song. I really like how it introduced the journey through this show. Number 2 is probably the encore with Fatal and Around the Bend. Once again, 2 unexpected back-to-back songs. And my number 1, it's a fine boy in me, so it's Alive. Being able to kind of be closer to Eddie was something that I would not have expected, that I would be kind of emotional about this.
That's not a moment that either John or I can share on our top 3, so, or anybody else.
Yes.
That has that was at the show. So that's very specific to you, and that's the kind of thing that obviously when we have people on to talk about shows that they went to, that's that's what we're looking for. That's what we love to hear. We love to hear the feel good stories. So, John, you did not get Eddie touching you, so pick other stuff.
I'm gonna agree with Aurelian. I like the Oceans and the Nothing As It Seems opening. I thought that was fantastic. It really set the tone. My number 2 is Wasted Reprise into Alive. Wasted Reprise into Alive, I thought it really gave the song, like I said, a little extra weight, and I really thought it was a nice version of Alive. And my number one is the Riot Act songs, like Getting You Are and Green Disease and I Am Mine, like Save You. Just I thought it was great to hear these songs.
Yeah, all good choices. I don't think my top three are the same as your top three, so change it. There's a lot that speaks volumes, because that means that there were a lot of very good moments at this show. So my number three is actually Watchtower. That they get an extra song after Ledbetter, that the crowd, again, it's already a pretty special night, but you get one more song. It really doesn't matter what that song is. It doesn't, even again, I'm not the biggest fan of Watchtower, but it was definitely a fun performance. And if you saw recently, Ed was able to play it at a benefit with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so that was pretty cool. Number two is Mankind, because it seemed like Stone had a lot of fun with this one. It's close to his birthday. He's joking around with Eddie a little bit, and it was just overall just the moment around Mankind, with the Let Jeff sing and the Let Stone sing stuff. That was just a really fun, really, really fun kind of moment. So, number one is Fatal, because you don't get it at shows at all. It's one of very few songs that I feel like if I do hear it live in the future, I would look to my neighbor and give it a holy shit, I'm hearing Fatal kind of deal. I don't, there's a lot of stuff I've seen, there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen, but Fatal is one of those that it hits me in a good place. So getting it even on this show was very exciting. So, all right, let's rate it.
Okay, so my benchmark is the Amsterdam 2 2012. It was my first show, and for me it was a 9.5. So I think this one is below. So I would give it a 9.
Okay, that's fair. What you got, John?
I agree. 9 straight up. Thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. All right, I'm way lower than you guys. Sorry. I think the set list was perfect, but I think that it wasn't my favorite bootleg to listen to, and unfortunately that is what I have to judge it off of, because I wasn't there. And that sometimes is the unfortunate thing that when we have to take into account, and obviously Aurelian stories do help set the tone and set the atmosphere and set the mood for what this show was and how special it was, but listenability is also really important, for me at least, when going back and listening to the bootlegs. And this is a show that I would listen to specific performances of, but I don't know how often I would go back to this one and be like, oh, I want to listen to this show again. So for that, I'm going to get killed for this. It's a 6.5.
Ouch.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I backed up my claim. That's, that some of the performances were really, really rough. But again, set list and placement in the set list was top. That gets a 10.
Send your emails to liveonfourlegspodcast@gmail.com.
Do it. It's fine. We're allowed to all have. If we all gave it a 9, the show would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I listened to it one time through. I didn't have a lot of time this week. I got into a car accident last week, so a lot of stuff has been going on in my life. But I gave it one listen to, and if I gave it a second listen, I don't know how things would change. I don't know if I'd still be distracted by some of the things I was distracted by, but, it's not, again, the set list gets a 10. I think the performance is what really brought it down for me, and that was only because there were some sloppy moments. It didn't have anything to do with energy. It just, so I feel bad. No. Because I know how special this show is to people. So,
but I kind of understand, because this show is special for me because I was there. But I think,
and that's what matters. Ultimately, yes. In the end, that's what matters. My opinion is just like, hey, giving it this so you can go and listen to the bootleg and see for yourself. Like, you can't relive these moments anymore.
Exactly.
We're a podcast that covers bootlegs essentially. So,
but it's not, as you say, it's not a bootleg that I've listened a ton of times since the show. So I think.
So you're saying you've listened to the songs more than you've listened to the actual full boot itself?
Yes, I think.
Okay. All right. So it's backing up a little bit what I said. So. All right. Well, Aurelian, it was great to have you on again. And again, you've been awesome from the start. You've been totally into this, and this is a podcast that is you need a lot of time for. You need a lot of research for, and sometimes when you feel like you're working on this and you're doing all this stuff, and you put out a product, and you're thinking to yourself like, well, waiting for people to react to this because I do this to see, if people agree, disagree. Always the first person in the inbox, whether it's in a direct message on Facebook or in Gmail, is Aurelian. And I mean, usually he has nothing but positive things to say, which is very kind and very, very nice of him to do, whether he's flattering us or not. Fans like you and especially you make doing this all worthwhile. So a sincere and genuine thank you from both of us for all of your ideas and dedication to this show. You are the Live on Four Legs fanboy.
Yes,
that's all there is to it.
No, I have to thank you because just when you're a guest on a podcast, you can really feel how time consuming is it. So I really praised the preparation, the editing work, and everything you've done for this podcast, because it's really time consuming. And I think probably
this one needs some editing, that's for sure.
And I think probably you had some listener that very like your show, but don't find the times to send you an email, or maybe think that they have nothing to say unless thank you. But I would encourage every one of the people that are listening to this podcast to just send an email live at fourlegs at podcast@gmail.com to just thank Randy and John and Chris and Matt for their hard work and what they bring to the community.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
It's really nice of you to say, and that's again. That's what makes it worth doing. That's what makes all of this worth doing. So, again, Aurelian is a patron, and Aurelian is on the show because he's not only a patron, but he's a friend, and we have been lucky enough to make friends with all of our patrons. So if, not only do you, and we have extra, I always go to the patrons first whenever there's an idea or an extra thing. Like we did something with our patrons this past week with a couple of them that was really fun that we're actually going to do on the show in the next month or so. So it's being involved in more things. If you love Pearl Jam and love just the idea of just having conversations about the band with people, then that's what it's all about. We get to talk to you, and really it's helping out the show because this is something that we do out of labor of love, and Aurelian is nice enough to pitch in a little bit out of his paycheck, and again, it's very small, and that's okay, and we accept all of it. So Patreon, if you want to become a patron, head on over there, and you get to do what Aurelian just did, relive your memories. I may not like every single moment, John may not like every single moment, but we really do appreciate that you get the time to spend and reminisce.
Every Pearl Jam show is special in its own way, and it's great to have people on like this who've I haven't been to any European shows. I probably won't ever get to, but it's great to have people on who've had those experiences and can speak to it and fill us in on what makes the show special for them. It makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely. Aurelian, you did just that today, and again, we thank you for everything. There's That's all there is to it. You're the best.
No, thank you. You're the best. I'm just listening to the show, and that's it. So
Merci beaucoup.
de rien.
What John said.
Thank you very much.
Arrivederci. That one?
Au
That's the
revoir.
one? Okay.
Salut.
Arrivederci, au revoir.
Bye.
Thanks, Erlen. We'll see you soon.
Really.
Thanks.
So like we were saying before, our opinions are based off of listening to a bootleg. Aurelian's opinion is living the whole damn thing and actually being in line when they canceled the damn show and then flying back and getting tickets to go back. So yeah, I might have given this a low rating, but that's based off of listening to a bootleg. But Aurelian's experience is really what you should base this off of if you're looking to get an actual, defining example of what this show was. Look to Aurelian and not mine or John's.
Yeah, I mean, and part of, like when they take the stage, like it's awesome. Like you got the whole anticipation the whole day. If you get to do the whole experience, like the traveling, the waiting in line, camping out overnight, like some people do, I've done it. It becomes even that much more special when you actually get the show, and it makes it that much more memorable because you meet people in line and like you meet people around you and you talk to them and like give them the high fives, like, oh, this is Corduroy, this is when we wanted, or they play that rare song, you're like, this is the one we were waiting for, and it's stuff like that we don't get a chance to talk about when it's just you and I listening to a bootleg that I have or watching a show on YouTube. But when we have people who were at these shows, you get that kind of extra experience, and it's great to hear those stories about what happened around the show that made it that much more memorable.
And that's why I love having these guests on, because they're really good at remembering what happened at these shows. We've had tons of guests on that have just, been so detail oriented. Johnny Firecloud was, Aurelian was, basically every single one of our guests that have shared an experience has shared all of the details of what they've gone through, and you're just learning stuff about how other fans react and how they get their experience, and it kind of makes your experience, it humbles your experience a little bit. So speaking of experiences, next week's episode, we're continuing the MSG series. We are down to the final 2, so we are at 2016 night 1, and like I said, experiences. This was my 15th show, and I was a spoiled frickin' brat at the time. I've been listening to the show a little bit, and I've been getting, memories of just like, why did I think like that? This is really good. Why was I in such a pissy mood on that day? And
you wanted Dirty Frank. You weren't going to be happy unless they played Dirty Frank.
It wasn't Dirty Frank, but it was that idea of I want something new. That was the first show that I didn't get a new original song. Every show before there, Memphis, I got 2 new ones. The Brooklyns, I got a bunch of new ones. But that was the first one where I didn't hear anything new original. So I'll recap a lot of that. Buckley will be on the episode too. He was at the show as well. But I'll recap sort of my mood on the day and how I can look back at it now and have a different appreciation for it. So
nice, yeah. I mean, these MSG shows have been great. We had the Breath one. There've been the Live at the Garden DVD show, the Night 2 from 2010.
Our New York bias is almost
classics.
over, John.
I know, yeah.
And
we're gonna have to do
the
out,
Atlanta series.
That's right.
All shows up to
very short.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it's 2 more to go, and I think people are looking forward to that. It should be good.
Yep, I'm excited for it, and we got a lot of great stuff heading into 2022. Like I told you, the polls are available on our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter pages. It's probably bit.ly/ I guess the one that's coming up next is 2012, so it would be 2012 PJ shows. For all those polls, basically put in that date. So 2010 PJ shows, 2011 PJ shows, and you will get those polls.
Definitely
Help
go
us
check
out.
it out. You know, we want your input. Every vote counts.
Great participation so far too.
Yeah, absolutely. And stay tuned very soon, because I don't want to give away anything right now, but in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be announcing some of the cool stuff we got planned for next year, and on Patreon too. So we got a lot of stuff coming down the pike, and can't wait to tell you about it.
Yep. And until all that happens, this may be the end. We're here, but not for much longer. And although we may be parting ways, I miss you already, and I miss you always. For John and Aurelian, and for London Night 2, maybe the turning point in this era of the band's history, we bid you a good night.
Au revoir.
To the riders,